for being here and joining me in the study of the 8 limbs of yoga. And we're going to move through the yoga practice now, and because we've already gone through and talked about and thought about the 8 limbs and what they might mean to us, now we're going to focus on just that one little aspect of the 8 limbs, and that is self-study. So Svaydhaya. So as we move through the physical practice, the asana practice, I want you to be thinking about what you're feeling, what you're thinking, how you're responding, and how you're making your choices of what you're doing in the physical practice. And then try to relate that to the overall goal of yoga, which be, and the language could be something that you might want to change slightly, but it could be union with God, it could be joy, it could just be improving your overall well-being or your mindfulness. So there's lots of layers and lots of different steps, and it's important that at the beginning of your practice you establish what it is that you're hoping for or working towards, and then you stay focused on that throughout the practice. So we'll get started by coming to a comfortable seat. If you aren't comfortable, then make yourself a little extra cushion underneath the sit bones or under the knees for support. And we're going to start with a tall spine. You're going to let your chin drop slightly down. And you can close down the eyes or have them at least downcast. And we'll settle into just a short meditation here before we get moving. Again, establishing our intention and starting to focus inward. And start to lift your chin, flutter the eyes open, and just switch your legs. So it's the opposite leg in front if you're cross-legged. And know that you can do this opening warm-up sequence in any seated posture. So if you're not comfortable, feel free to change the position of your legs. We're going to start with the fingertips out to the side. Again, nice tall spine, lifting up through the sternum but keeping the belly firm. We're going to lift one arm up, lean over to the side, and create a beautiful stretch through the sideways. So your bottom hand could be on the floor on a prop, your top arm can either be straight, bent elbow, or even hand to hip. So we're going for the stretch along the rib cage. You want to get a bit more space there so that we can breathe fuller and deeper through the practice. Now on your inhale, rise up and we'll float over to the other side, repeating the side bend on the other way. Again, choosing your modification for the bottom arm, the top arm, and then thinking about creating space between the ribs. You're going to lift up and over, come to the other side. And perhaps just starting to notice the quality of your breath. If you have any thoughts going on as we move in and out of our side bend, you might notice as you go through the practice that some postures have a different effect on your mood, your thought, your energy. And we'll rise back up, meeting at the top. Opportunity to change the legs should you need to. Otherwise, we're going to go into a twist. So your right hand will go behind you. Your left hand will either go to the right knee or anywhere over towards the right that you got support. And you'll start to turn from your mid to upper back so that you can turn the torso towards the right, either looking to the back of your mat or to the front. Fingertips are there to support you. So you're keeping your tall spine, getting a nice rotation from the mid to upper back, and then you're holding and deepening the breath. We're going to release and come back to center, and you'll switch and go to the opposite direction. So as you come into the rotation, Just notice how that feels in your abdomen. You may feel some of your internal organs being slightly compressed. Others might have been stretched or moved. And know that that's a good thing. We want to be able to stimulate the internal organs. We want to, of course, be stimulating the spine because we're asking it to rotate. And we're still working on our postural muscles. So we're still firming through the belly, got a nice tall spine. We're modifying our hand placement, our head placement for comfort. And we're coming back to center. Okay, so from here, I'm going to ask you to come into tabletop or Bhujangasana. This is our hands and knees. So if you've got knee injuries, of course you could have a prop underneath your shins so that your knees are not actually on the floor. If you have wrist injuries, having a little extra lift so that the flexion of the wrist doesn't have to be quite so strong. Or you could be down on your forearms or even onto fists. So if you're okay in tabletop, we'll meet here. And we're going to move through our spinal float. So with an inhale, you could just let your belly drop down towards the mat. Turn the tip of your tailbone up at the same time. Press your shoulder blades back and take your gaze forward or up. Now keeping this shape in the body, let your hips go back towards your heels. They don't have to go all the way, just lean back. And then inhale, come forward and round up. So you want a nice tall reach of the shoulder blades up towards the ceiling. This is coming into like our cat pose. Strong, straight arms. The weight is over the wrists. And now start to move forward and back. So the belly drops, the hips go back towards the heels. And as you inhale, you roll forward, round up through the mid to upper back. And we'll go back and forth between these two. So have an honest exploration of your mobility here. Maybe even closing the eyes. Thinking back to Satya, truthfulness. Now can you modify this in a way where it feels really good? There's no pain or discomfort in the knees or the wrists. There's no pinching or grabbing in the spine. We're going to do a couple more rounds. Now we're going to meet back at neutral tabletop position. From here, bring your big toes to touch and walk your knees out a bit wider. And then letting the hips again glide back towards the heels. Now, if you can't get all the way back, you could have a prop or a blanket between your thighs and your calves. You can also adjust the distance between your knees. And then walking your hands forward, and hopefully you can get your forehead down to the mat. If not, again, a prop would come underneath it. Stretching the arms out nice and long, lengthening through the spine, and bringing your third eye to touch the mat. So the third eye being the space between the eyebrows. Is our Balasana or child's pose. And we are creating length in the spine. We're also getting nice flexion through the hips. Feel free to adjust to move around. You can wiggle, adjusting the distance between, again, your knees or the placement of your arms. Maybe the hands go wider if you've got tighter shoulders. Perhaps the hands want to reach back towards the feet. You're going to keep the breath even, and you're just going to notice again, what is your reaction to this shape? Is it calming? Is it energizing? Is it comfortable or uncomfortable? Can you do anything to modify it for yourself? And this goes back to the whole idea of Svaydhaya, studying ourselves. Do we always stay in a pose even if it doesn't feel good because we think we should? Or are we giving ourselves the freedom to move around and to adjust? I'm going to take a couple more breaths in Balasana. And then pulling the hands back towards you, rising back up into Bhujangasana or tabletop. We're going to spread the fingers nice and wide. You're going to tuck the toes, and you're going to lift your knees and your hips up towards the ceiling for Adho Mukha Shavasana, downward facing dog. First down dog, you may want to bend your knees a bit more generously, take your feet wider, press into the hands, send your hips and your chest back towards the thighs. When you feel like you're ready, you can start to work towards a straighter leg. And then perhaps walking your feet towards each other. So we got long, strong, straight arms. We're pressing the heels down. Firmness through the belly, sit bones driving back towards the wall and the ceiling. Breath is even, and if this isn't the right pose for you, you can come back down either into tabletop, working through some cat and cow action, or you could go back into Balasana or child's pose. So the other added benefit of being in Adho Mukha Shavasana is the fact that it's an inversion. Our head is lower than the heart. So we're challenging the circulation to move in a slightly different direction than we normally are. We're building strength in the arms, the upper body, and we're creating length in the back body. We're going to stay for just a few more breaths. And then as you feel ready, lowering back down. And we'll meet one more time in Balasana or child's pose. So big toes to touch. Sending your hips back to rest, either on your heels or a prop. And then this time, if you can manage to take your arms back. And again, the forehead will come to rest. And rising back up, we meet back in Brahmanasana, tabletop. And preparing for a strength pose, we're going into Phalakshasana, so our plank pose. Know that you can practice this on fists or down onto your forearms. You can also do it either on the knees or with legs lifted. So we're working on our strength. I want to kind of test the water to see how our mind and our body reacts to being asked to work a bit harder. So from here, I'm going to get you to tuck your toes. And you're either going to let your weight shift forward into plank on the knees, or from plank on the knees, tuck your toes and lift the legs up. So you want a long straight line from the back of the shoulders to the back of the heels. Strong straight arms. And you're creating length. So reach the crown of your head forward, and then we're holding. So we're building strength. We're creating alignment. You can imagine yourself in Tadasana or standing pose with your arms outstretched out front, and you're going to be holding here. And so just notice your thoughts as I ask you to hold longer. As it becomes more challenging, what's happening? Are you going to give yourself permission to let the knees come down? Are you going to fight through it, letting your breath become ragged? Or are you your own cheerleader? Are you cheering yourself on, saying how amazing and strong you are? So there's no right or wrong answer. It's just a process of noticing. Couple more breaths. And then if your knees are lifted, you're going to bring them down. And one more time, you're going to come back into Balasana or child's pose. Hips to heels or prop. And again, arms coming back so you get the weight off your wrists. And we'll bring the forehead to rest. Allow yourself to rise back up. Again, we'll meet back in our tabletop position. Fingers spread nice and wide. And you can either walk your hands slightly forward or your knees slightly farther back. And we'll meet back again in plank on the knees. Firmness through the belly. When you're ready, lower down to the belly by bending at the elbows and keeping the elbows close to the ribs. And once you're down, lift your legs, stretch them out long behind you. Roll your shoulders down and back away from the ears. Squeeze your shoulder blades and your elbows close to your sides. And we're going to go into our rolling Cobra, Bhujangasana. So every time you inhale, you're going to roll up. And as you exhale, you're going to come back down. So it doesn't matter how high you lift. It matters whether or not you're engaging the muscles of the mid to low back and you're keeping your legs firm and rooted. So the tops of your feet are pressing. Your knees may have lifted. And you're rolling the spine up and down. And you can add in the head. So the head might be the last to roll up and the last to roll down. Now as you go through your rolling cobras, just start to think about whether or not you're comparing yourself to an image you might have seen of what this should look like. Are you simply enjoying the posture? Are you staying really present in the movement? Are you wanting to lift up a little higher? And if so, are you taking that step on your own? Last time, rising up into your back bend of choice, hold, and make some small adjustments, perhaps readjusting the shoulders back, letting your chest go forward, legs are strong and active. And then slowly releasing that down. We're going to press the knees firmly into the floor. We're going to firm the belly, and you're going to press all the way up, plank on the knees. And then you're going to let your hips glide back so you can tuck your toes. And you're going to lift back up, either down dog, or if you prefer, you could go into table or child's. Second time coming into Adho Mukha Shavasana, you may be able to move around just a little bit freer. Perhaps now bending the knees, letting the hips rock side to side. And then once you've arrived in a nice place where you can hold down dog, we're going to start the journey of taking the feet up to meet the hands. So you can walk the feet up until eventually your feet are in between the hands, and your hands could be absolutely either on the shins, on your fingertips, or perhaps on props. Or if you don't have the props, bend your knees until you can get some support with the fingertips. Let your head drop, and we're going to hang here. Uttanasana. You're welcome to have your fingers down on your supports, or if you prefer, you could grab opposite elbows. And we're going to just hang here. Again, beautiful inversion. Lots of benefits to just redirecting our circulation. It's a very relaxing posture. Helps you to close the eyes and again turn inward. Just notice your thoughts. Notice the sensations where you're restricted in the physical body. Notice if your breath has shifted faster or slower. And we'll hang out here for a few more breaths. Bend the knees, swoop the arms all the way up overhead, coming into a full body stretch. Nice tall reach. And then we'll release the hands down. We'll come into Tadasana. So feet are about hip distance apart. You can lift the toes, spread them wide, and then let them come back down to the floor. Shift your weight forward and back, side to side, until you find center. And then start to firm your legs. So you can think about squeezing the inner thighs, you can think about firming the thighs. Pull up your low belly, firmness through the low belly. Sternum lifts. Naturally, as you lift the sternum, the shoulders will want to roll down and back, and you can think about squeezing the shoulder blades together. And then length through the cervical spine, through the neck, and the crown of the head reaches. Chin is parallel to the floor. Now this should feel like a very stable posture for you. There's strength. There may even be some sensation of being ready and willing to move. Close down the eyes and just notice the stability. And if it's not stable for you, how can you fix it? Perhaps taking the feet wider. Perhaps keeping the eyes open. Take a moment to come back to the intention of self-study. Notice your thoughts, notice whether you settle really quickly into simply standing or if you're resistant to it. Is it comfortable or uncomfortable? Is it beautiful posture to come into, to find your center, to reconnect, and then having movement from this posture. So from here, we're going to come into a couple of rounds of our sun salutation A. So from Tadasana at the top of the mat, we're going to sweep the arms all the way up. We'll turn the palms out and swan dive down, Uttanasana, forward fold. Rise up either hands to shins or to fingertips, extended lift. And then bend your knees, plant your hands, step your feet back into plank pose or Kapalabhati. We'll take a big breath in, and on your exhale, lower to the belly. Untuck the toes, curl up into the back bend of choice. So this may be Cobra, High Cobra, or Up Dog for you. We'll release back down. You'll press into knees and hands, and you'll either press to plank on your knees or tuck your toes and press to plank. Shifting the hips back to Adho Mukha Shavasana, down dog. And then holding for a breath or time. So again, if down dog is not the right pose, you could have child's pose or tabletop. And starting to walk the feet forward. Arriving back in Uttanasana, forward fold. You can grab opposite elbows and hang in ragdoll. So once we have knowledge of ourselves, then we can make choices. So study yourself, study your reactions. We'll release the arms, bend the knees, swoop the arms all the way up. Urdhva Hastasana. And coming down, hands to heart. One more time, moving through the same sequence. Arms will swoop all the way up. We'll turn the palms out, swan dive down, forward fold, Uttanasana. We'll rise up, either hands to shins or hands to fingertips. And then we'll bend the knees, plant the hands, step back, Phalakshasana, plank pose. Know that you have the option of knees coming down. When you're ready, we'll lower to the belly. Untuck the toes, curl up, back bend of choice. Again, the tops of the feet are strongly rooted. You're using the muscles in the back to peel yourself away from the floor. Shoulders are down and back. We'll exhale, release. Press into knees and hands, or tuck the toes and press all the way up. Meeting in down dog. And holding here. Now working your way back to whatever 8 limbs or yamas and niyamas that you remember from our talks. Perhaps thinking about practicing ahimsa, non-harming. Is there a way to modify what you're feeling so that there's no discomfort or pain? Is there a way to modify your thoughts? Walking your feet up again to meet the hands top of the mat. Meeting in your forward fold Uttanasana, nice and relaxed. Again, feel free to grab opposite elbows. I'm thinking about Satya, truthfulness. Do you need to bend your knees? Brahmacharya, moderation. Maybe you don't need to do a fast practice. Maybe slow and easy is okay. Now we'll bend the knees, sweep the arms all the way out. Big full body stretch, Urdhva Hastasana. And releasing the hands down. From the top of the mat, we're going to step the right foot back. We're going to come into Virabhadrasana 1 or Warrior 1. So you have a little angle to the back foot. Front knee has a bend. You can bring your hands onto the hips. And just find stability. So take some time, move around, shift around, find to where you feel really solid on your legs. we're going to be coming into a balance pose, so I want to make sure that you have that established first. And then what happened when I said balance pose? There's probably like, oh crap, you know, I need to move around a little bit more, I need to worry, I don't want to be the one wobbling. So just take note of that, or maybe you're like, yes, balance pose. So we want firmness and lift to the low belly. We want to be pressing down through the front foot, strong straight back leg. Reach the arms up. And then start to lean forward. As you lean forward, let your arms swoop back. The palms will be facing each other. You can roll and adjust your shoulder blades. Have a gaze point out in front, so a drishti. And then start to press off your back foot. And a bit more weight into your top foot until you can press all the way off your back foot. And then you'll be coming into your version of Warrior 3. So maybe the back foot just sort of slides forward. Maybe the back leg lifts. And you're going to hold here, balancing on your left foot, reaching your fingertips back, reaching the crown of your head forward. Reset if you start to wobble. And we're building strong, strong legs. We're working on our balance, our ability to focus. We're creating some heat. And we're going to land back in Warrior 1. So slowly letting the back foot come down, reaching the arms up. Firmness back into the belly. Noticing what thoughts came up with that transition. And then we'll release the hands and step to the top of the mat. Same thing on the other side, so stepping your left foot back. Finding stability, just the right distance between the feet for you. Bend in the forward knee, strong straight leg, lifting up through the belly. Arms can reach up, palms facing. So finding a nice even breath. Lean forward. Let your arms come down and back, palms will be facing. Gaze is forward and take that little push off the back foot. Find stability in your front leg and then lifting up when you're ready. So Bhujangasana 3, we're reaching back, creating lots of length, alignment, strong, strong posture. Keep the focus. Notice what's happening. No, this is like tapas, you're building heat. We're going to keep holding. And then releasing back to your Warrior 1 or Virabhadrasana 1 shape. Holding here. And then stepping forward. Top of your mat, hands can release. From the top of your mat, turn your toes out, your heels in preparation for Malasana or Yogi Squat. So options are to bend the knees and come down forearms to thighs, or coming down all the way and perhaps having the fingertips out in front for support or balance. You may also need to have a blanket or props underneath the heels if your heels don't come down. And if this just isn't an option, then you can come all the way to the sit bones, have your legs out in front, and just sit really nice and tall. So we're going to be protecting the knees, making sure there's no sharp pain or discomfort. You may have to change the angle of your feet in order to create the space for your hips to open up. And then just like in all of our postures, tall spine. So there's some firmness to the belly, the crown of the head is reaching. You can have your hands again either to the floor or up if you need less balance. And then we'll close down the eyes and we'll go back to our intention. So first notice the physical. Can you feel the restriction in the body? Maybe the hips are tight or the ankles. Maybe it's harder for you to find your balance. So notice the physical first. And then notice the breath. Has the rhythm or the rate changed? Can you bring it back to being even and quiet? notice your thoughts. How does this posture make you feel? Is there memories associated with it? Are there expectations or judgments associated with it? You know, how are you seeing yourself in this shape? Start to release from the pose. If you're like me, you're going to release the hands out in front and you're going to slowly straighten the legs, and we'll meet in a forward fold Uttanasana. So you can heel toe your feet back towards each other. And grabbing opposite elbows. Beautiful inversion. Changing our circulation, changing our point of view. Beautiful posture to turn inward. Release the arms, bend the knees, sweep the arms all the way up. And release the hands down. And we're coming back into Tadasana, where we find a really nice balance between left and right, forward and back. We've got firmness through the legs, through the torso. We're really tall. We'll start with hands to the hips. And find a drishti point or a gaze point out in front for stability. We're going to shift all the weight to the left foot. We're going to start to bend the right knee. And then just naturally let your right knee open up. This might be where you stay. If you're okay with this, we're going to take it a step higher by bringing your foot to rest somewhere on your standing leg. And we're going to be mindful about the hips not coming up higher on one side or the other, so level hips. Again, creating length. And then if you need to add on even more, you can bring your arms somewhere creative. So maybe it's hands to heart center, perhaps choosing a mudra, something that you've learned previously with how you like to have your hands. Maybe it's Chinmaya Mudra. Maybe it's Mudra of humility, hands over your head. And be creative, and if that's still not enough challenge for you in the shape, then maybe try closing the eyes. And notice how that challenges the body so much more. And then we're going for endurance. So we're just going to hold our balanced pose. If we fall out, we're going to come back in. And we're going to observe. What is our reaction to staying? Can we notice all the little shifts in the bones of the ankle and the muscles? Which muscles are going to fatigue first? Can we predict it? Can we purposefully fire up another muscle group to support the one that is getting tired faster or quicker? Or maybe the mind just doesn't want to focus. Maybe it's hard for you to be balanced. So wherever you're at, we're going to bring the hands back to the hips. And you'll release your right leg and just take a moment to walk it out. Find center again. And we'll go to the other side. So all the way to the right foot, left heel lifts and turns out. Once you find stability, bringing the left foot somewhere along your standing leg. And then adding on arms and perhaps choosing a mudra of choice. So maybe you don't know any mudras, doesn't matter. Just bring your thumb to one of your fingertips and hold it up. Lots of different ways to bring mudras into our balanced shape. And if you don't know mudras, there's an opportunity for self-study or for study in general. Maybe doing some Googling or research into mudras, or getting a book about mudras, or asking your favorite yoga teacher to tell you about them. Just a few more breaths. And then releasing the hands back to the hips. And releasing the leg down. Move around, walk it out. And then we're going to be coming down to sit. So you can get down onto the floor however you like. And cross-legged if possible. If not, find a comfortable way to sit. So grab your props. As long as you're upright, you're good. So we're getting prepared for our pranayama practice. We're going to do Kapalabhati and Anuloma Viloma in preparation for coming into Yoga Nidra. And we'll take this one step at a time. So first, the comfortable seat. Nice tall spine, arms can rest. And we'll start with the Kapalabhati. So the Kapalabhati is a forceful exhale, a passive inhale. And it'll look like this. I'll cue it as a full breath in, full breath out, half a breath in, and then it's a pumping action. So it's in and out through the nose. We're going to do 3 rounds of 11. And I'll cue you through it. The trick is to not go too fast. So you need to be able to let the belly soften for the inhale to come in. And then there's that forceful pumping action, drawing the belly in for the exhale, and it's out through the nose. So we'll get started. Inhale, exhale, half an inhale, and begin. Inhale, exhale, half an inhale, inhale, exhale, half an inhale, inhale, exhale. Just close down the eyes, take a moment to notice how that felt for you. Moving into Anuloma Viloma, we're going to do a beginner ratio, or a ratio for any time where your nervous system is maybe a bit fired up and you just don't want to practice breath retention. So we're just going to be doing a really nice inhaling for 5 through the left. We'll have a brief pause or hold with both nostrils plugged, maybe like count of 1. And then exhaling through the right for 5, inhaling through right for 5, exhaling through left for 5, and that'll be 1 round. And we'll do 5 rounds. So again, it's not a breath retention in between inhale and exhale, it's just like a longer pause. And we'll see how this feels for our practice. So left hand in Yanahan Mudra, thumb and index finger together. Here's a mudra for you. And palm open onto your left knee or thigh. Your right hand in Vishnu Mudra, so index finger and middle finger to the thumb pad. And then you've got your right thumb to block the right nostril and your ring finger or your pinky finger to block the left. So for this one, you're going to sit nice and tall again, but you're going to lean back slightly, just until you feel the lower abdominals contract. And you're going to keep this here. Right hand in front of your nose. We're going to do this as I inhale once, exhale once, and then it'll be block the right nostril, inhale left. So here we go. Inhale, exhale, block the right, inhale for 5. On 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5. Block both. Release the right, exhale. 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5. Inhale right, on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5. Pause, block both. Exhale left, on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5. Inhale left, on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5. Block and pause. Exhale right, on 1, on 2, on 3, Om 4, Om 5. Inhale right. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Block and pause. Exhale left. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Inhale left. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Block and pause. Exhale right. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Inhale right. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Block and pause. Exhale left. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Inhale left. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Block and pause. Exhale right. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Inhale right. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Block and pause. Exhale left. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Inhale left. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Block and pause. Exhale right. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Inhale right. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Block and pause. Exhale left. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, Om 5. Release. Close down the eyes and just pause for a moment, breathing through both nostrils. And then moving into the slowest, quietest breath you can manage. So no sound, bringing the air in. Maybe that very subtle pause at the top of the inhale. And a really slow, quiet exhale. Draw it out, savor the breath. You may even start to add the slightest pause at the end of the exhale. And if those pauses in between become longer, let that happen so that there's no tension, comfort, like a natural pause. Allow the breath to become even slower and quieter. And then just keeping with your nice, soft, gentle breath, we'll flutter the eyes open. And I'm going to get you to come on down onto your back. So if you'd like to add a layer of socks or bring a blanket with you, please do. We're just going to do a couple movements before we come into our yoga nidra. So find your layers in your socks, come on down onto your back, and we'll meet with knees to chest. Releasing the arms out to the side, we're going to just let the knees rock from side to side. They don't have to go down all the way, they're just going to go side to side, nice and slow and easy. If you feel like you want to get them all the way to the floor and pause, absolutely, you can take the time to do that. And then we'll meet back at center. Wrap your arms around your shins, give yourself a squeeze. Pull your head and your shoulders off your mat, tight little ball. And then splay yourself open. So full body stretch, arms overhead, legs out long. Rotate the ankles, rotate the wrists. And then any last little bit of movement that you need before settling into Shavasana. So If you need a prop or a bolster, grab it. You might need something under the knees. You may again want an extra layer, a blanket. And you're gonna just come to lie on your back comfortably. So I'll give you a moment or two to settle, and then we'll get started. If you'd like to add a cover for your eyes, that's a nice addition. So blocking out some of the senses, going back to pratyahara, sense withdrawal. And we're going to be trying to move into that through our yoga nidra. As you settle, bring your attention to the world around you. The sounds, the temperature, the smells. Notice how your body feels as it contacts the floor beneath you. Notice the weight of anything that is on you or over you. And take your attention to the sounds that are within the space that you're in. And then take your awareness to the sounds that are farther away from you. Or maybe outside of the space. Sounds that are quieter. Bring your awareness there. And then see if you can become aware of all sounds around you. So those that are quiet and those that are loud. And then visualize yourself lying where you are. You can imagine that you are above yourself, looking down. Or perhaps you can see better by standing in the corner of the space you're in and looking at yourself from that angle. And then move back into your body. So notice the effects of moving back into the body. Feel the warmth, the container of it, the familiarity of being in your body. Full appreciation and gratitude for the body. And then allow this space of being in your body to feel love, to feel a sense of calm, of belonging. And if there's something that you need to assist with that, perhaps it's the image of a loved one or a space that you like to be in. But try to create this feeling, this sensation of being comfortable, of being safe, of being loved, of being warm. And bring your awareness back to your body, lying on the floor. And I'm going to say different body parts, and you're just going to take your awareness there as I say the directions. And try to take your awareness without having a reaction to that body part or that naming of it. And taking your awareness to your right hand, to your left hand, to your right elbow, to your left elbow, right shoulder, left shoulder, to the space beneath your neck. Notice the right hip, the left hip. Notice the space behind your right knee. Notice the space behind your left knee. Right ankle, left ankle. The tips of your toes. The tips of your fingers. The tip of your nose. The ends of your eyelashes. The neckline of your lips. The creases around your eyes. Now bring your awareness back to your breath. And try to reestablish the slow, quiet breath. You'll notice the inhale, the chest will rise. And on the exhale, the body will soften. Allow your body to ride the wave of your breath. You're bobbing on an air mattress on a lake with gentle waves. Acknowledge any emotions that come up for you or feelings. As I go through a list of objects and places, you can create an image of these as I say them and try to stay neutral with your reaction to them. Bird, apple, mountain, Buddha, green grass, sunset, city lights, log cabin, garden path, full moon, a child, my voice, candle, a kite, your body lying on the floor. Notice the sensations associated with breathing in and out through your nose. Maintain the awareness of your breath, and at the same time develop your awareness of the physical body. Your body is relaxed. Soft body, heavy body. Take your awareness to all parts of the body that have contact with the floor beneath you. Take the awareness to all parts of the body that are resting above the floor. The back of the knees, the back of the neck, the low back. Keeping your eyes closed, allow yourself again to see yourself lying where you're lying, whether you like to do that from above or to the side. And notice those who are around you. Notice your relationship to them. And said loving gratitude to not only yourself, but to everyone that is around you. Try to see the aura of gratitude. Perhaps it's a light emanating from you and enveloping everyone around you until you have created a blanket of love and gratitude that is surrounding and covering you and everyone around you. Go back to the breath, even quieter, even slower, perhaps naturally lengthening the pause at the end of the inhale and at the end of the exhale. to fully relax and sink into your Shavasana. Bring your awareness back to the sounds that are close to you. And then the sounds that are farthest away from you. And then back again to the sounds that are closest to you. And finally, the sounds that are within you. Maybe the breath, it may be the heart. And then shift your awareness to the physical body. Notice if it was able to relax and to settle or if it was struggling. Notice where your thoughts took you. And slowly start to make a fist and scrunch your toes. And then open your fingers wide and open your toes. A couple times, tightening and then spreading wide. Relaxing the hands and the toes. Start to slide your arms up overhead, full body stretch. You can point and flex the feet. You can move side to side, nodding your head. And then after your big full body stretch, you're going to pull your knees back into your chest. You're going to wrap your arms around the knees of the shins. And you can rock gently side to side. And then your choice is to either come to lie on your side for a moment in fetal position and then eventually press up, or if you prefer, you could rock forward and back until you rock up to seated. Either way, in a moment we're going to meet cross-legged in our starting shape, so comfortable seat. Once you've arrived in your comfortable seat, you can let your chin again drop down towards the chest. Hands can rest. And I'll ask you to bring your hands into Jnana Hand Mudra. So thumb and index finger together and palms open on the knees and the thighs. So the thumb representing the universal consciousness and the index finger representing your individual consciousness. So we're making a closed circuit between the two, and our open palms so that we're ready to receive, we're open. So take a moment to again come back to a nice, easy, natural breath. And we'll move into a few moments of meditation, and it's unguided. So just stay focused. It could be on the breath, it could be on a word or a phrase that you've picked. You may want to use this time to just simply observe your thoughts. So this might be your Svaydhaya practices. What kind of thoughts are going on up there, and can I be an observer of them? And we'll just be here for about 3 to 4 minutes. We'll start to lift the chin back up, and we'll bring our hands down to Anjali Mudra, so hands in front of the heart. And think of this mudra as a way to seal what you learned from your practice and from just paying closer attention, and seal that knowledge between your palms and keep it close to the heart. We'll close down the eyes one last time and just take a moment to let all of your knowledge settle and sink in. And then thank you for allowing me to guide your practice. And thank you for coming on this journey with me of talking about and learning about and thinking about the 8 limbs of yoga and the idea of self-study just by being more mindful. So thank you so much. Have a great day or evening, and hope to guide you again soon. Namaste.